The forest was silent. No birds, no wind, only the sound of leaves crunching under his boots. Jake, a human man in his 30s, moved carefully through the thick jungle. He had been living alone on this alien planet for nearly 2 years. No one else was around. The planet was called Verta 9, and it was far from Earth. A survival mission gone wrong had left Jake stranded here, but he had learned to live. He hunted, gathered, built a small shelter, and made simple tools. One of his traps was set near a stream. Today, he hoped it had caught something, maybe a bird, maybe a small alien animal. He was hungry. Jake pushed some leaves aside and reached the spot. His eyes widened. The trap was full, but it wasn't an animal. It was a girl. An alien girl. She was hanging upside down, caught in his net trap, eyes wide and glowing a soft blue. Her skin was pale lavender, her silver hair falling around her face like moonlight. She had strange marks on her arms, like tiny stars drawn into her skin. Jake froze. He had never seen anything like this. The girl looked at him and screamed, "Please, don't eat me, I beg you." Jake took a step back. "What? Eat you? No, I'm not going to eat you." But the alien girl kept shaking. She twisted in the net, trying to get free. Her voice trembled. "Humans eat soft meat. I don't want to die like that." Jake raised both hands. "Hey, calm down. I don't eat people, okay? I didn't know this trap would catch someone like you." She didn't believe him. Her big glowing eyes watched his every move. Jake pulled out a knife. The girl gasped, "No, don't cut me." He frowned. "I'm cutting the net, not you." He moved slowly, trying to show he meant no harm. After a few careful slices, the net dropped gently, and the girl landed on her side with a soft thud. She groaned. Her leg was injured, maybe from the fall or from struggling too much. Jake knelt beside her. "You're hurt." She pushed his hand away. "Don't touch me." "Fine," he said, holding up his hands again. "But you can't stay out here. There are wild beasts. You won't survive the night." She looked around nervously. Something howled in the distance. Her ears twitched. Jake saw fear in her face. "I have a shelter," he said. "It's warm, safe, and I have clean water. You can rest there. I won't hurt you." The girl didn't answer, but she didn't run either. After a few moments, Jake stood up and said, "Suit yourself." He started walking away. He didn't go far. Then he heard the soft sound of footsteps behind him. She was following. Jake's shelter was small, a dome made of scrap metal and tree branches. It had a solar-powered light and a heat pad inside. He opened the door and let her walk in first. She moved slowly, looking around like a scared animal. Her leg was still hurting, and she limped with every step. Jake poured her a cup of water from a purifier. He handed it to her. She sniffed it, then took a small sip. "You're not poisoning me?" she asked. Jake sighed. "No." He gave her some dried food bars. She sniffed them too, then stared at him. "You want me fat before cooking me?" Jake blinked. "What is wrong with you?" "I'm not a monster. I'm trying to help." The girl looked confused. "But humans are meat eaters. You trap things. You bite with sharp teeth." Jake showed her his teeth. "Yeah, but I also brush them." She didn't get the joke. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated. "Zira. I'm Jake, human. Alone here, just like you, I guess." Zira looked down. "Not like me." Jake didn't ask more questions. Not yet. She was scared and tired. He gave her a blanket. "You can sleep here. I'll stay outside, give you space." Zira looked surprised. "Why are you kind?" Jake shrugged. "Why not?" That night, he sat by the fire outside, staring at the stars. He heard soft breathing from inside the shelter. Zira was asleep, but Jake was wide awake. He couldn't stop thinking. Why was she so scared of humans? Who told her such things? And what was she doing, alone, in the middle of this jungle? Something wasn't right, and deep inside he felt it. This was no accident. This girl, this alien girl, was going to change everything. The sun was barely rising over the alien forest. A soft golden light touched the edge of the shelter. Inside, Zira woke with a sudden breath, her heart pounding. She had dreamed of sharp teeth, tearing flesh, and a human smiling with blood on his lips. She sat up quickly, sweat on her lavender skin. She looked around the strange metal hut, warm, clean, quiet. No chains, no cage. Jake wasn't inside. Her hands moved to her leg. It still hurt, but he had wrapped it neatly. The strange white cloth was smooth and soft. Why would a human treat her like this? Then the door opened. Zira's eyes widened. Jake stepped in, carrying something steaming on a metal plate. "Good morning," he said with a calm smile. "You slept for 10 hours. That's gotta be a record." She watched him carefully, her body tense. He set the plate down in front of her and took a step back. "Food," he said. "It's not poisoned. Not meat, just plant roots I boil. You need strength." Zira stared at it. Then, slowly, she leaned down and sniffed. She recoiled instantly, her eyes filled with panic. "I knew it," she whispered. "It smells like blood." Jake blinked. "What?" "No, that's just boiled root. And red spices." But Zira shook her head. "It's meat. You cooked someone." Jake looked annoyed, but he stayed calm. "I'm not feeding you anyone, Zira. I told you I don't eat people. I don't eat aliens. I don't even eat bugs." She pushed the plate away with shaking fingers. Jake sat down, frustrated. "Why? Do you think I want to eat you? Where did that come from?" Zira looked at the floor. "All my life. They told me humans capture aliens for experiments, for eating. They told me your kind is cruel. You take what you want." Jake frowned. "Who told you that? Who are they?" Zira's eyes filled with something between pain and rage. "My people. My own father, the Empire." Jake's breath caught. "You're from the Empire? The one that controls this part of the galaxy?" Zira didn't answer. She turned her head to the wall and said softly, "I'm not supposed to talk to you. You're not even supposed to be alive." Jake stood up and walked outside, thinking hard. He leaned against a tree, looking at the sky. She really believed he'd eat her. How much fear had been planted in her mind? And why? After a few minutes, he came back in with a small box. He opened it and pulled out something. A bright yellow cube. "What's that?" Zira asked. Jake tossed it gently toward her. "Emergency. Food from my crashed shuttle. Pure protein. Nothing fancy, no meat, no poison. You can check it." Zira examined the cube. She scanned it with a tiny device hidden on her bracelet. Her eyes widened. "It's safe." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Told you." She sniffed it again, then slowly took a bite. It was dry, but clean. Her stomach growled. Jake smiled for the first time. "There we go." Zira finished the cube without another word. When it was gone, she looked up at Jake. "You're strange for a human." Jake chuckled. "Thanks, I guess." Suddenly, a loud beep came from Zira's bracelet. She looked down. The smile faded from her face. Jake noticed. "What is it?" Her voice became cold. "They found my signal." "Who?" She met his eyes, serious now. "My people. They're coming." Jake stood very still. "Coming for you?" She nodded slowly. "No, they're coming to erase me, and anyone who helped me." The night was heavy. Not quiet. Too quiet. Zira sat by the dim light inside the shelter, her hands tight around her knees. Outside, the forest buzzed with hidden eyes and whispers in the leaves. But inside it was Jake's soft breathing that filled the silence. He was asleep, peaceful, trusting. But Zira was not. She stared at his sleeping form. He had given her water, warmth, safety. He hadn't tied her up. hadn't caged her, and yet, her people were coming, and she knew what they did to humans who helped escapees like her. She looked down at the bracelet on her wrist. Its signal had flashed just once, just enough to let the hunters know her last location. She had to run, not for herself only, but to save him. Zyra stood quietly and winced as her sore leg touched the ground. The pain was sharp, but she had no choice. She took one last look at Jake. "Thank you," she whispered, barely loud enough for even herself to hear. Then, she limped out into the darkness. The alien jungle at night was not like anything on Earth. The trees glowed faintly blue. Strange vines moved slowly, like they were breathing. The air was thick and wet, filled with the scent of spice and rot. Zyra moved too fast for her weak leg. She stumbled, tripped, kept going. Her mind echoed with fear. "Don't let them find Jake. Don't let him die because of me." Suddenly, a shadow moved behind her. She spun, heart racing. Nothing. She pressed on. Branches scraped her arms. Her feet bled. Her bracelet blinked once, warning her. Too close. They're near. Then she heard it, a growl. Low. Hungry. Close. Zyra froze. In the dark trees, two yellow eyes blinked open. A massive beast stepped forward, covered in black fur. 6 legs. Sharp teeth dripping with foam. Her heart dropped. No. Not now. Not this thing. The creature howled and leapt. Zyra screamed and fell backward. She closed her eyes. This is it. But then BZZT. A red laser flashed past her face. The creature howled again, this time in pain. It turned, confused, then ran back into the trees. Zyra blinked. She looked up. Jake was standing above her, blaster in one hand, eyes furious. "I wake up and you're gone? What were you thinking?" She couldn't speak. Her throat was tight. "You were limping. You're bleeding. You think I wouldn't notice?" Tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked away. I didn't want you to die." Jake paused. His anger faded. He knelt beside her. "I'm not letting you face this alone," he said quietly. "But they'll kill you," Zyra whispered. "Maybe," Jake said. "But I'm not going to let them take you like some hunted animal." He looked into her eyes. "You're safe with me, no matter what." Zyra stared at him, shocked. No one had ever said that to her, not even her own people. Back at the shelter, Jake cleaned her wounds. This time she let him. She didn't push him away. She didn't tremble, not anymore. That night, as she lay wrapped in the soft blanket, Zyra whispered into the dark, "I trust you now." Outside, Jake sat by the fire again. He didn't speak, but he smiled. A small, quiet smile, but deep in the forest. A strange ship landed, black armor. Cold eyes. The hunters had arrived, and they had no mercy. The rain came suddenly. It hit the roof of Jake's shelter like falling nails, loud and fast. Zyra sat near the small fire inside, her silver hair damp, her arms wrapped around herself. The orange flame flickered in her glowing eyes, but her thoughts were far away. Jake was fixing a wire panel nearby, quiet but alert. He could tell she was different tonight. She hadn't eaten, hadn't spoken, hadn't even looked at him. Finally, he broke the silence. "You okay?" She didn't answer. Jake set his tools down and sat across from her. "I know you're scared," he said gently, "but if something's coming, I need to know. So I can protect us, so I can protect you." Zyra closed her eyes. Then slowly she spoke. "I was never supposed to crash on this planet," she began. "My ship wasn't damaged. It was shot down by my own people." Jake's eyes narrowed. "What? Why would they do that?" Zyra looked up. Her face was pale, "Because I saw something. Something I wasn't meant to see." She paused. The fire crackled between them. "I was born into the ruling family of the Villari Empire. My father is a war baron, powerful, feared. I grew up thinking we were noble, just strong." Jake listened, silent now. But one day, during a fleet inspection, I wandered into a hidden deck. There, I saw human prisoners. Chained, starving, tortured. Some were just children. Jake's jaw clenched, Zyra's voice cracked. I heard. One asked for his mother. And a soldier laughed and said she was already eaten. She couldn't hold her tears back now. I ran. I told my father. I thought he'd stop it. I thought he'd be angry. Jake already knew the answer. He wasn't. Zyra said. He smiled, and then he gave the order. Jake said softly, "To kill you?" She nodded. I was a witness. A stain. He didn't want a daughter with a conscience. So they sent me on a fake diplomatic mission, but it was a trap. Drone hit my ship, and I fell here. The fire snapped. Jake leaned back, his face dark. So that's why they're hunting you. Not because you're missing, but because you know the truth. Zyra nodded, and now they'll destroy everything in their path to make sure I don't speak again. She looked at Jake, her eyes filled with guilt. That includes you. Jake stood up and walked to the door. He stared into the storm outside. You know what I think? Zyra stayed silent. Jake turned back to her. I think you're braver than you know. And I'm glad I caught you in that trap. She gave a sad smile. You think you caught me? Jake laughed once. Yeah, you kinda caught me too. But far away, the black-armored hunters had picked up a faint energy trail. One of them tapped his helmet and said in a cold voice, "We found her." Asterisk thunder rolled over the jungle like a warning from the skies. But the jungle didn't listen. It stayed quiet. Too quiet. Then the clouds split open. A dark ship pierced through the storm. Silent as death. It didn't flash lights. It didn't make a sound. It simply appeared low, smooth, and sharp like a knife in the wind. It hovered above the treetops and released three shapes. Tall, armored, cold. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. They were Velari hunters, and they had only one mission. Find Zyra, erase her, and destroy anyone who helped her. Far below, inside Jake's shelter, Zyra suddenly sat up straight. Her eyes glowed brighter. She whispered, "They're here." Jake had just finished checking the solar battery. He looked up. What? Zyra stood slowly, staring through the metal walls like she could feel them. I recognized their presence. 3 of them. All hunters, no mercy, no fear. Jake grabbed his blaster. How long before they get here? Zyra didn't answer, because just then, boom. The trees outside exploded in fire and smoke. Jake threw himself over Zyra just in time as the shockwave hit the shelter, shaking everything inside. The firelight flickered out. Jake pulled her to her feet. Move. They ran. Through the back tunnel Jake had dug weeks ago for emergencies. Branches snapped around them, behind them. Mechanical footsteps hit the ground with heavy thuds. Red scanners cut through the darkness, sweeping for life. Jake and Zyra dove behind a fallen log. Zyra whispered, "They'll find us. They always do. You should leave me. Now." Jake shook his head. "No, I don't run from people like them. I've fought worse." Zyra looked at him. "You don't understand. They were trained to kill humans. They hate your kind." Jake smirked. "Yeah, I've met their kind before. They bleed just like anyone else." One of the hunters stopped just meters from their hiding place. Jake held his breath. The hunter turned. Scanned. Paused. Then suddenly fired. A blast into the trees. Jake and Zyra rolled just in time. The log exploded behind them, showering them in bark and dust. Jake jumped up and returned fire, hitting the hunter's chest, only for the armor to absorb it. "They're shielded." Jake yelled. Zyra grabbed his arm. "I know where they're weak." "Spot is under the neck plate." Jake nodded. "Cover me." He sprinted toward the next tree as Zyra pulled a small crystal weapon from her bracelet and fired a blinding pulse. The hunter stumbled back, dazed. Jake used the moment. He dove, slid under the hunter, and jammed his blaster right beneath its chin. Boom! The hunter dropped like a tower. Zira gasped. You actually killed one? Jake stood, breathing hard. Yeah, one down, 2 to go. But in the distance, the remaining 2 hunters had stopped walking. Instead, they stood still. And then activated. A beacon. A new signal lit up the sky. A message to the mothership. Jake looked up. Oh no. Zira turned to him, pale. They're not just hunting anymore. They're calling the rest. A red light split the night sky like a warning to the world. It pulsed from the hunter's beacon, cold, sharp, deadly. Zira stared at it from behind a rock, her breathing shaky. That signal. It's calling a full sweep, she whispered. If it reaches their command ship, they'll send a strike team. Bombs, drones, fire from the sky. Jake crouched beside her, sweat dripping down his face. How much time? Zira looked at him, then at the signal growing brighter. 10 minutes. Maybe less. Jake looked around. Burnt trees, broken traps. 1 dead hunter behind them, and 2 more out there. He pulled out his last 2 grenades. His blaster was cracked. He had no backup, but he had a plan, and he had Zira. Listen, he said, voice calm. I want you to head east. There's a cave with deep shielding. Your signal won't reach there. Zira's eyes narrowed. And what about you? I'm staying. No, she hissed. You'll die. Jake gave a crooked grin. Not. If I take them down first. Zira grabbed his arm. You're just one man. Jake looked her straight in the eyes. I've been surviving this planet alone for 2 years. Hunted by beasts, storms, starvation. I didn't come this far to die running. He stepped out from cover. Gun ready. Zira watched him disappear into the burning trees. And for the first time in her life, her heart ached. The 2 remaining hunters moved silently through the wreckage, scanning. Suddenly, boom. A homemade explosive hidden in the mud blasted upward, tossing 1 hunter against a tree. Jake leapt from above, slamming into the second. He fired at the neck plate. Mist rolled, and fired again. Direct hit. Crack. The hunter fell. But the last 1 wounded turned and shot Jake in the side. Jake screamed, dropped behind cover. Clutching his ribs, smoke filled the air. The final hunter advanced slowly. Jake's hand trembled. He was out of grenades. Out of time. Then a flash of blue light slammed into the hunter from behind. Zyra. Her small crystal weapon glowed hot in her hand. She fired again and again, each shot bursting with emotion, fear, anger, love. The hunter staggered, then dropped. Jake blinked through the smoke. You came back. Zira ran to him and knelt down. I couldn't leave you. Jake coughed and smiled weakly. I told you, we're a team. The beacon still blinked above them. Zira pulled the crystal from her weapon and slammed it into the beacon's core. Boom! A bright shockwave shot into the sky, then silence. No signal. No reinforcements. No death from above. Only quiet, only breathing. Only them. Zira helped Jake back to the shelter. He was weak, bleeding, but alive. She wrapped his wounds with soft hands. You saved me, she whispered. You saved us. Jake looked up at her, barely able to speak. You're worth saving, but far, far away. A pair of golden eyes watched their last transmission from the edge of space. A voice cold and sharp. As metal said, so. She survived. Asterisk. The storm had passed, but the world still smelled like smoke and fire. Jake lay on a bed made of soft leaves and thermal cloth. His side was bandaged. The pain was still there, but so was the warmth. Zira sat beside him, quiet, watching over him. Like a silent star, she hadn't slept. Not since the fight. Not since she saw him nearly die. For her. Now, she held a small device in her hands. A rescue beacon. It had just enough power left for 1 call. 1 signal. 1 chance. To leave this planet. To go home. To safety. She looked at the blinking button, then looked at Jake, scarred, tired, but alive. And she hesitated. Hours later, Jake finally woke up. He groaned and tried to sit up. Zero rushed to him. "Don't move too much." He gave her a weak smile. "Did we win?" She laughed softly. "We're alive. That's something." He looked around. "You didn't call for help?" She shook her head. "I could've, but I didn't." Jake frowned. "Why not?" Zira took a breath. "Because going home means going back to lies, to cruelty, to being silent." She held up the beacon and crushed it in her hand. Jake's eyes widened. "You're serious?" "I'm staying," she said. "With you. If you'll have me." Jake stared at her. Then he smiled. "Of course. I was starting to like your cooking. Anyway," she chuckled, "I never cooked." He raised an eyebrow. "Exactly." They rebuilt the shelter together. Day by day, the wounds healed, both on the outside and inside. Zira learned how to set traps. Jake taught her how to build fire with only stones. She showed him how to purify alien fruit. He taught her how to laugh again. No one chased them. No one hunted them. They were free, not because they escaped war, but because they found peace in each other. One night, as stars lit the sky like a million tiny fires, Zira sat close to Jake by the flame. She looked up. "Do you ever wish you'd been rescued? Gone back to Earth?" Jake looked at her. Then looked at the stars. Then at her again. "No," he said softly. "Earth never had you." She blinked, stunned. Then leaned her head on his shoulder. "And far beyond the stars, where warships roamed, and kings made cruel plans, no one noticed that a quiet forest planet had become a home for two souls who should have never met, but did, and changed everything." Asterisk.